Greetings. It is I, Susie Q. I'm going to tell you a little story. So the premise here is there is no time, So you call it the EMON energy, or it could be the eternal moment of now. All of this is working with each one of us. So a number of years ago, I had a really neat friend. Her name was Susan, and she died, right? And that was probably back when she was in San Antonio. I was still in Dripping Springs, but then I started kind of thinking about her, when I was in Houston, and I just thought, wow, I just wish if I could just hear her voice, or, it was her birthday, and I called a friend, and the friend said, well, why don't you just go ahead and just wish her a happy birthday, right? All of that was kind of extraordinary. And so Susan did pass away, and when I was in the car, I was like, I was just kind of thinking, like, what else could I do to access a connection with my friend Susan? She was always helping me. We did new home sales together. She organized my daughter's wedding, and then she and I both did all of the food for the wedding. It was in my backyard at a 5-acre piece, and it was really a pretty, wonderful wedding. So I really appreciate her so much. So I decided just to kind of like just take, I was still driving and just kind of processing, I miss her so much. I miss her voice. I miss our fun times and all that. And then I went ahead and stopped and just took a moment. I just maybe got off the street, and then I parked someplace just to see what else I could find or understand. And so again, I was missing her so freaking much, So she was a pivotal friend and a great guide for me going forward. So Susan is her name. It was Susan Matthews at that time. Anyway, so I went ahead and I had a little cheesy little phone. It wasn't real fancy or anything, but just super cheesy. And I took a moment and I just started to, then I thought maybe I need to check into my emails, okay? So it was probably a number of years before that. And then all of a sudden, when I went to the email, it went straight from Susan Matthews, completely from Susan Matthews, right? And then I was looking at it, I was like, how in the world, because it was a cheesy phone, how could I have even found that, right? And then eventually I took a look at the email. It was from Susan to Susie, right? And I just looked at the email, and it was the Amazing Grace, Amazing Grace. And all of that was just so extraordinary because, again, like that phone was kind of super cheesy. And but it was extraordinary that I could actually get a connection with her email and Amazing Grace. And it was a beautiful rendition of Amazing Grace. So a lot of us have a lot of experiences where we are starting to gain more insights with this realm and with the spiritual realm. All of that is supporting each one of us. And I bet all of y'all have had things like this as well, when you start getting more guidance and you get more understanding about a person that has passed, So I get sometimes guidance from my father. He died many, many years ago, right? I was just a little kid when he died. But sometimes he's with me when I'm typing. He's, giving me some messages. So he's part of that vibration with the spiritual realms, right? And also with my mom, when my mom passed a number of years ago, there was all kinds of funny stuff that she had on the kitchen floor, and it was like, who did it, but it was like a mystery, but at the very beginning of her passing, she started to give me some like silly things, right? Like super silly things, and they were all on the kitchen floor. And so it's just me and my partner, so there's nobody else that's going to be doing that, right? So the more that we really take a moment and pause, and if we're thinking about somebody that has already passed, or is maybe getting ready to recede from this earthly school, I bet a lot of us can see some of the experiences with those states of consciousness. And when you start working with that spirit field, like even like right now, right now I'm kind of in a field of the angelics also, and also with some other states of ascended masters and friends from other states of consciousness that I can't even perceive. But I really appreciate learning more about what it is when a person is here on the earthly plane, and then another plane of consciousness would be in that spirit field. All of that is helping each one of us to have more guidance. And again, with Susan, we had so much freaking fun, right? And she was crazy and she was fun and it was just so silly, and then all of a sudden, things changed, right? And even back then we had a funny state of consciousness with the written material. So we had Marlene and Darlene, and they were at the RV park or something. We were really fun with creativity and being very playful. And it was really, really wonderful with all the words and silliness. All of that reminds me of, what else can I do to have a little bit more fun and pleasure and, just looking at life in a different way. So I think that's it for now. We'll see you soon, and a namaste.